No, I was talking.
But here,
Yeah, I'd only made it to the first coin in the roll, though, which is a good thing. I was just saying when
a couple of people, a few people, everyone
was trying to point out to me
that
I had no sound, that this little line that you see in the inside of the lower part of the S mint mark is not a repunch mint mark. This is normal for 1970. You'll see it on a lot of them. That little raised line, horizontal line on the inside of the lower part of the 7, or the lower part of the S mint mark. So you can just skip over that stuff because it's not of any value. Here's a little flake of metal that came off the coin when it was struck. You can see that it's a little laminated flake, thin as paper, thinner than paper, thinner than a human hair, I'm sure. Let's see what else there is on this coin, if anything. A little spot on the 0. You can still see that. See that little line running right through the lower part of the S on this one? It's on most of them, if not nearly all of them. We always look up here. Look up here for extra thickness going side to side in any of these letters. And it is a little bit out of focus. I mean, I have a single focus microscope. It's not an autofocus. There's no electronics in my microscope. It is strictly just a microscope with gears and everything. And I sometimes tilt things just to be able to get a better look at one tiny spot. So if I do something like this, I know it's out of focus. I'm doing that to see something. And it's like I'm doing this to see if there's any hooks on the bottom of the 0. You can't really see it that well this way, but you can if you tilt it up this way. You can see hooks, and you'd be able to see them out of focus as well as you can see them in focus. Either way, you guys can hear me now, right? Is everybody just enthralled with the show and they're not saying anything? Nobody's speaking, so now I can't tell whether or not you can actually hear me. And all in unison, I'll get 9-10 people say, "Oh yeah, we can hear you." The last message I see on here is by Tim. It says, "I'm not talking. I was talking. I don't stop talking." Loud and clear. Hello, Mr. Clay. Looking around, seeing what we can see on 1970S Lincoln Cents. We've got all kinds of little double dies that have little marks above the 7, little marks below the 7, little hooks on the bottom of the 0. We've got some major ones, some nice ones that are doubled pretty much on all of the obverse letters. There's some that have little marks above and below the L of Liberty. There's actually even one that has splits going across the word Liberty. There's a couple of double die reverses known, but they're both proof. We don't know of any double die reverses right offhand that are mint state for 1970S. And of course, then we've got small dates, along with double dies on small dates. So there's some interesting things to be looking for. 1970S, that's for sure. As I'm going through these, you'll tell that I'll be able to look at them from any angle and see what I'm looking for, whether there's doubling or anything like that. That's because I don't marry myself to the idea of being able to read the lettering I'm looking at. I'm looking for doubling. I'm not trying to read the coin. So it doesn't matter what orientation the coin has. If I can see what's supposed to be the doubling on it, then it doesn't matter which way it's turned. That's my story. I'll stick with it. Okay. Well, this coin's not all that pretty. Another large date. Let me back out again. Sometimes it's actually more difficult to look at the coin when it's all up in your face. Makes it easier to back out a little bit. See that stuff on the bottom of the L? That is machine doubling, and in fact, there's a lot of machine doubling on this coin. I'll turn it around. You can actually see it better. You tilt it up this way and then get it focused. You can see the machine doubling on the B, the L, the B, the E. That's machine doubling. It's very, very flat. It's flattened down to the field considerably. Not a double die. A double die would actually look like two sets of very nicely rounded letters huddled up together with one another. That's more machine doubling there on the 9 and the 7 of the date. Alright, we keep looking. I'm always watching for doubling, even the more minor hub doubling. Is if I can see anything, I'll pop it out and take a good look at it. I'm watching this L right here, especially because it appears that it may have part of an extra bar to the north on the L. So get the picture a little bit brighter. Twist the coin around a little bit and take a good look at it. Yeah. So that's a double die right there. If you see right here, this is part of an extra horizontal bar of an L. It's not very deeply hubbed, but it's there. So that's a double die. Now generally when I see something like that, I'm going to want to go back through the rest of the coins and make sure I didn't miss one. Let me get a position of the mint mark on this. Okay, well I do have some heavy die scratches around the 1 of the date. That's going to help me a lot on this particular die. And I'll go back over to the L and look at it again. You've got that little hump on the top of the L. It's actually it's this guy right here. That is a double die. It's a minor one, but it is a double die. I'm going to pull it out so I can put other examples of the same die together with this one. I'm going to be watching my 1 now, going back through the rest of the coins, because this is something I could possibly have missed. I'm looking for those die scratches just around the 1. I don't have them there. I don't have them here. Often I don't miss stuff. I mean, it's not very often that I'll miss things, but I am human and I do miss things. And so I never take it for granted that, oh, if there had been one in the roll, I would have seen it. No, I don't do that. I always go back and look again. As soon as I find my first variety, this is what I do. I go back and I look through all the other coins in the roll again. Even if it's the very last coin in the roll, I'm patient enough to go back and look through the entire roll again just to see if there's a chance I could have missed one. So far I see nothing. Not a thing, man. It's actually a little difficult to drive a stick under a scope talking through a microphone at this magnification. It takes feather-light movements to make sure I don't zip all the way across the field of vision. Okay, this is where my coin was. So we're going to go on to the next coin. So the first coin that we have not yet seen. Still looking for the little humpies on the top of the 7, the date. Those tend to be more common, actually, than what I just found.
Yeah, I'm on my ruler.
Doing this on my ruler. Because I don't have to keep track of whose coin is what. All these are the same roll and they're all the same person, so. Still also watching for small dates for sure. Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. It looks like an RPM to me. It flipped upside down. Take a good look at it this way. Oh, yeah. See, it's not machine doubling. It could be a gouge. I'll have to pull this across, take a better look at it with both eyes and see if it is. We can also watch for other examples of this to come up, but I do believe that could be an RPM. So it looks like so far we may have one double die and one RPM. Ooh, what am I seeing here? Okay, it's just a late die state. I thought I was seeing something entirely different. But I'm looking at a very late die state coin. Very mushy. Definitely very mushy. Okay, that is not the same thing again. Looks like my die scratches around the 1. Go back over and look for my little thingy on the L, if it's even here. It may not be here. No. Nothing, man. So we have a different die that has pretty similar markers, which that doesn't surprise me much. This is one of them right here, I think. Let's look at the one on this. Well, and see, this one doesn't have those marks on the one. So if this is a double die, it's probably a different die. It is. It's right there on the top of the lower part of the L. There's an extra hump right there.
It's man, this is hard to do. I'm cross-handed on a mouse right there. That little guy right there.
That is minor, but it could actually be a double die. I'll have to take a better look at it later and see if it's anything that's worth listing. If it is, I'll get it listed. Why not, right?
I already got it sitting here. But that is a different die from the other one that we found.
Different die for sure. Not there. Nothing there. No. That's peeled up there. That's just a hit on the coin. Very strange little marks. Looks almost like some language somebody tried to spell in. Well, no. Get a better look at the date on this one, right side up. Yeah, I got nothing there. Okay. Next coin. Turn this right side up and get a better look at it. Here's something that anybody can learn quickly about the 1970S large versus small date. You see this line that goes across the 7 right here? This little crease makes it look like there's two different sticks here stuck together. The bottom stick and a top stick, and there's the seam between them. You don't have that on the small date. It's only on the large date that happens. So if you have that seam, you definitely have a large date. This one is the roll ender. Whereas conversely, if you do not have that seam on an uncirculated coin, if you do not have that seam, then you definitely have a small date. Machine doubling, not a double die there. Alright, there's half of our roll on the obverse side, and my nifty little machine that flips my roll over just that fast. And now we can zoom out a little bit, take our lighting down a few notches. Don't play around, boys and girls. This is my living. I've made some inventions that actually work. Alright, to look at the reverse side now. On this little gaggle of coins. I don't expect to find anything at all on the reverse, but that's what some guy said one time when he was looking through 1982 Lincoln Cents and found a super nice double die reverse in 1982. So I don't just assume anymore. It's too dangerous. You never know what could pop out of these rolls. Never know. I mean, granted, naturally, I'm not going to look as hard at this as I would at 1964. Just because. I mean, I don't expect to see anything. If it's going to be anything that's going to pop at me, it's going to pop hard, right? It's going to be really nice. I think my stick might be a smidge bowed or something because the coins, when I get them on a stick like this, I've got half of a roll at a time. 25 coins is, what is it? It's 25 times 3/4 of an inch wide. It's 19 millimeters is just about exactly 3/4 of an inch. Actually, a little less, because when you drill holes through wood that are 3/4 of an inch, a penny tube will fit in, and the tube is actually a couple of millimeters larger around than the coin. So, anyhow, that's semantics. No sense wallowing around in semantics, right? Oh, yeah, something I meant to tell you guys kind of at the beginning, but I'll let you know now. When I'm doing these roll digs, I'm kind of sitting a couple of feet away from the computer over in front of the microscope. So while I can see the coins really well and I can talk really well through the microphone, I don't necessarily see your comments immediately. I look over once in a while to see that everything is still going okay. And then I noticed somebody's comment from like 5 minutes ago. It wasn't that I was trying to ignore you. It's just that I couldn't see it. But to Steven, yeah, generally these double dies that I'm finding on the L and well, things like that they're visible through a loop. I mean, you don't have to have a microscope to see them. The reason I'm bringing them up on a microscope is because, well, it just makes it easy for you guys to see what I would be able to see going through this roll. And I'm not doing anything special to slow down or speed up. This is about the speed that I generally look at rolls of coins closely if I need to look at them closely. Make it through an entire roll in, I'm going to say about 2.5, 3 minutes. If I'm not talking and stopping and talking and stopping and all that. If I'm just doing this uno y solo with my puppy dog laying at my feet, it takes me somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 minutes to get through a roll. Until I start finding die varieties. And I start finding die varieties, and it's going to take me 10 minutes to get through a roll easy. Because I'm pulling stuff out of it. Had nothing on the reverse on these. I didn't expect to see anything on the reverse anyway. But I will stack these up over here and get the other half of the roll out onto my stick. Get them all facing up at me. Don't need any Larrys handling the coins. Make sure that if you're going to go through rolls like I do, wash your hands really well before you start, which I did. Okay, that's machine doubling on the mint mark and on the date. Anytime you've got doubling from this far back, actually from any time prior to 1990, if you have doubling on your mint mark and on the design that is related, then you definitely have machine doubling, because the mint marks were added by hand to the individual working dies after the dies were created and finished. So basically the design on the die that would be doubled during the hubbing will have nothing to do with the mint mark, because the mint mark is placed onto the die long after the die is created. So right there you've got machine doubling on that mint mark, and you've got machine doubling on the date. Very, very good sign that you have what the experts call non-collectible doubling. I'm going to go back through looking at those L's again. Something just throws the fear in me that I might miss one of them, so I'm being a real careful boy going through these coins, making sure I try to catch everything. These are not going to Eric, so it's kind of my job to make sure I catch everything. But at least you have a better idea of what I do look for when I end up going through 70S rolls, which is not very commonly. Frankly, my job just keeps me way too busy to bother looking through anything. I do once in a while pick some stuff and go through some stuff. And sometimes I get good tidings out of what I find. But most of what I sell is unsearched material, so I don't search it. I just don't go through it. This makes more sense economically and aesthetically if I give you the opportunity to find all the goodies in the rolls. Here's another one of these with a little tiny nubby thing above the L. I don't know if that's going to be a double die or not. I'll have to look at it with two eyes later on. So I'll pull this one out of here, give it a good shot, possibly. But yeah, economically, fiscally and economically, it works out a lot better for me to buy rolls and sell them with the idea that they could very likely not be searched and not have been gone through, and you find the goodies in there yourself, versus me going through a whole bunch of rolls that I've purchased, spending all the time and effort that it takes to find goodies so that I can sell those goodies to a much more limited crowd. Most people want to find their die varieties. They don't want to go buying them. They only buy the ones they can't find. Okay, that's a nothing. So going through and finding all of them, then trying to sell them as die varieties is not necessarily a good idea all the time. Here's another one of our double dies, I do believe. Yep. It is another one of the double dies with a little bit of a bar on the upper part of the L. You don't really see anything else anywhere, anything anywhere else. It's just on that L. But yeah, there's another one of the double dies. So we got 5 varieties out of this roll right now. It seems to be kind of par for the course, maybe a few more than this. Crank all these coins around where they're all facing the same direction for me. Make it easier for you guys. There we go. Now they're all facing about the same direction. Any of that L stuff is going to pop out at me now. But I'm still watching the date for the small date. I'm watching the mint mark for another one of those with that weird looking apparent doubling on the mint mark. I'm kind of doubting myself on that now because I haven't seen another one. Have not seen another one. So something tells me may not be a die variety when I pull a roll that appears to be an original roll. I'm getting repeats of the same dies over and over, and it seems that one particular possible RPM is not repeating in the roll. That means I've got some sort of oddity, like I don't even know what it would be. Something that stands out on the coin. It'd have to be die damage, but then once again you have it on the die and it should show up on more coins. So I'm not really sure what it is. It could be some sort of a struck through or something. I don't know. Just seems weird. But what seems more weird is that I can't find another one in the roll. That doesn't always mean, you know, call in the law. It's sometimes it means that, sometimes it's like, well, luck of the draw that you only get one. There's another double die for you right there. Another bar L double die. They're minor, but they are there. And there's another one. I just pulled one off. I hit another one. So that is 7 coins now out of this roll. And the very last coin in the roll is this one. And this one is not one of them. But we did get 7 coins in the roll that show doubled features. Putting the coins back in the tube now. Alright, there's that. I'll keep the tube by itself and I'll keep the coins by themselves. Coins are not going back in the tube. And we'll separate these by die real quick. And then perhaps tomorrow I'll get into making an attempt to identify these individual dies. Okay, here is our first coin. And our first coin is that mint mark. I have no idea exactly what this is. It certainly matches the shape of the mint mark. It's really kind of strange. But I just don't necessarily see it as an RPM. There's not really enough evidence there to show me that it's a mint mark. It's really weird. I mean, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll take a really good picture of it and show it to Eric, and we can play with it and see what we come up with. Okay, here's one that's got just a little tiny thing on the top of the L. I don't think I ran into a second one of these. See if I can find a really good marker to use for this. Markers can sometimes be difficult to identify. There we go. Nice heavy die scratches below the TR of trust. So there's that. What about this one? What is this? Okay, this is a different one. This has heavy die scratch above the T of Liberty. Little die scratches around the 1 of the date. Okay. And what's this one? Okay, this has the die scratches around the 1 of the date. Does it have my die scratch above the T? Yes, it does. So there's a second example of that die. Now, another coin. No scratches around the 1 that I can see, not like I did in the other. No scratch above the T that I can see like I did with the other, but this L does still have doubling on the top of it. It's, we're going to call it minor. That may just be a little bit of die flow. So that may just be a die flow line. Let's see what this one is. Okay, here's my 1 thingy again. My die scratch above the T is there. And the doubling on the top of the L. So there's a third example of that die. And then the very last coin is another one. So we could easily be looking at appears to be 2 different double dies, possibly 3. And I don't think I'd be able to call that mint mark without other coins. But so that's what we've got in this roll. And a little idea of something else that you should be looking for. Now you look at it in this particular light at this particular angle and you don't really see it really well. And that's because it's opposite the way it needs to be for you to see it really well. You'd have to have it upside down to the light to see that little hump on the top of the L. And then you'd actually even have to move it on around so it's side to side like this on my lighting to make it show best. Right there. So that's what I've got in this roll. I'm going to keep these out separate from the roll for right now. And Eric and I'll play with them and take a peek at them tomorrow and see what we come up with on here. Other than that, I guess I'm done. Been through all 50 coins. Pretty decent roll for Curl. I think he got his money's worth out of it. He's got at least 5 double dies in here. Oh, there are. Jesse, there's a ton of double dice for this year. I think there's close to 40 of them. It's just a impressive number. Okay, folks, I think I am done for the evening. I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate you guys all coming to spend time with me and chit-chat with me and have fun with me. It's our own little nerdy kind of fun, but hey, it's fun nonetheless. I appreciate everyone being here. I will see you tomorrow at the reveals that we'll have tomorrow. At the very least, we're going to have a 54D and a 57D tomorrow. Possibly the 61D too, also, if I can get to it. And I will see you guys then. Have a good night.